Okay, good. Real quick, before we do anything, I have to sing a song. It's what I do everywhere I go. I sing songs. I need y'all to sing a song with me so I don't feel like a weirdo, okay? Okay? Okay, so I need everybody to raise your right hand except for you. You have to do your left hand. You know what you did. All right, so again, everybody right hand, but you left hand. Okay. All right. I see you. I see everyone out there, okay? Raise them hands up. It's important. Okay. I need everybody to repeat after me. That was pretty good. All right, cool. All right, so before we... No, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. I need everyone to repeat after me. I will never, ever do things that a stranger tells me to do. I'm still raising my hand. This might be an example of what he was talking about. This is why our politics and our government is so messed up right now. Because people just keep doing things that strangers tell them to do. Hello, sheep. My name is Toaster. You can stop repeating after me. I promise. It's okay. So my name is Toaster. I'm a big weirdo. I do poems and stuff. That's my thing. I brought my pink hoodie with me because I thought, I'm not going to lie, it's the softest thing in the whole world. If you want to, you can go to Old Navy and they have these. I'm only telling you because when I put it on, it changed my whole world. My whole world. I don't even like pink. I'm not even gonna lie. I hate this, but it feels so nice. And that's my Old Navy commercial. So real quick, here, my job, I go to a lot of these, and a lot of the time I realize that like part of what I'm doing is also talking about black people. I talk about black people a lot. I noticed how like I said that, and some people are like, ha ha, is that okay? I was supposed to laugh at that. That was a joke. That was a joke. So for those of you who haven't noticed, I am a brown-black mixture person. I heard an oh my God, is that from another brown-black mixture person? I see you. One other person in this room like me. Hi. So here's the deal. There are a whole bunch of things about being black that is super duper weird, especially when you're surrounded by a whole bunch of really well-meaning white people, right? Like, for instance, you ever like for instance, you might talk to your parent and be like, hey, I don't want to go to that place because that place is scary for me in a way I don't think you understand. And they'll be like, why? It's school. School is supposed to be a place that's really safe and wonderful and beautiful for you. And you're like, yeah, but like some of those kids suck. I don't like them. They say things to me I don't like. And you have to go. You have to be in scenarios and situations in which make you feel uncomfortable and make you feel weird. And I think like that's basically what I do. That's like my whole job. I walk into situations and I'm like, what's up? I'm not like you. Let's talk about things. So having said that, I would like to try something kind of weird that might fail. There was one half-dead person over here who was like, okay, if that's what you have to do, I guess we'll do that then. So I haven't actually introduced myself. Again, I'm Toaster. I do weird things. Big person, pink hoodie, yes. However, I'm also a teaching artist. So I go around and I teach poems to youth all over the entire world, right? Does anybody in this room, raise your hand if you like poetry? Cool. There's 17% of y'all. That's great. That's great. I really honestly didn't expect so many hands, mainly because I'm broke. I don't know if you know that about me, but I don't have no money. And it's because I'm a poet, right? And if you know one thing about artists, it's that getting money is hard. It's hard. However, I think the hardest part about making money as an artist is actually asking for what you think you're worth, right? So when you walk into a situation and you're like, hello, I'm really good at this thing. I would like you to pay me this much. Most people are like, no. And you're like, okay, this much. No, still. I would like to read for you for a sandwich. Deal. Let him in. But the cool thing about it is that after a while, you get so good that people are like, all right, I'll pay you to come to my school, or I'll come to pay you to read poems, or I'll pay you to do things that you do or don't like, but we'll pay you, so take it. And the cool thing about it is that I find myself reading poems and doing really weird things in front of big, large, fantastic audiences, and then afterwards, students come up to me and they're like, hey, I'm not a normal. What do I gotta do to be less normal in the future? And that is my favorite part of my job. Anyway, I'm rambling. Like I said, I rap, I do poems, I also paint murals, I also paint paintings. Paintings and murals are different. But having said all that, part of the thing that I do is I rap, and I like to rap with people I've never met before. So can you give a big round of applause for that band that just came out here a second ago? Are you still back there? Are they in the audience? I like how one of them's like, I'm in the front row, you told me not to raise my hand. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, so how about this? I'll give you guys 5 minutes, but if you could meet me back here in 5 minutes, that would be perfect. And in the meantime, I'll read a poem. Yeah, can you do your voice in a way that might be good? Perfect, awesome. So anyway, before I prove to you that I am a good poet artist thing, he's back there like, I don't know where I am right now. Okay. So I also do a bit of comedy, never really on purpose, but it always seems to happen. That was like that before, don't worry. See, totally normal. All right, so part of my job is going into schools and talking to students, and while I'm talking to the students, the teachers will say things that are racist. And they don't mean to be racist, but they're kind of racist. So the thing that I like to do is I like to talk to the students as opposed to the people teaching them, because a lot of times the teachers end up learning stuff too, right? One of the things that I have to teach teachers about being racist is clothes. Have you noticed that clothes are also racist? Somebody in the back is like, everything's right. Yes, clothing can be racist. Not necessarily clothing. I should say how people comment on clothing. The easiest parallel I could bring up is, are there any women in the audience? Woo! All right, hello. Hi, awesome. So one thing that I've noticed that works on both ends there is that women are often told a lot about what they can and cannot wear around men, right? However, is it like a woman's fault for what a man does? You see the issue there? You better not wear that, or this kid is gonna do things that are clearly against the rules. I don't understand. So anywho, I wrote this poem because I've noticed that a lot of times, is the band back there? I was supposed to, it was a whole thing. I was gonna do a bit with the band. They were like, yes, but y'all were like, yes, we know they're there. I can hear them. Do y'all want to hear me rap or do you want to hear me do a poem first? I'm sorry, I heard poem strong first. All right, wait. I just said poem? Rap? That's undeniable. That is undeniable. It's poem time. All right, so I'm joking. We'll do a song. All right, band, can you do me a favor and play something that sounds somewhat like this? Give a round of applause for the band. Awesome. This is the coolest thing I've ever done. All right, so how many of y'all like comic books? 3, 4, 9, 7, cool. 3 more people than they like poems. That's great. All right, so I wrote this song mainly because I'm a nerd. Yo, I'm slicker than T'Chaka whipping a stolen Impala. Women don't bother to holler cause Adora, Melage, and Okanamata, yo. Bushmaster, Jennifer, liquefied highs, got bada lies, line, bada out your eyes. I promise I'm stronger than the cage is caged in. Difference is, I'm not enslaved by the pages. Vengeful Avengers, mad cause I played them. Iron Man, Downey, Black Widow, spun an old web. Captain Sandman, I smashed his face to the pavement. Black Panther, bad check backs, now I'm dangerous. I'm slicker than T'Chaka whipping the stolen. Slicker than T'Chaka whipping the stolen. Whipping in the. I'm making things up. Don't worry, just keep playing. All right. I rap catastrophes for horsemen, famine, fever flames upon these rack of seas, disease their families, continuing to claim victory. And my boys with me here with me, fresh breath. Will we try that? That's blessed. Will we rap city? Hell yes. I got the best zest in a busy inner city. As sketch, I'll be reaping souls into the best, resurrected by my CD. Call me lazy. Lyrically, I'm Lazarus, but sleeping as I may be. I don't even want to keep going. That was perfect. The eye contact, and he was like, I don't know what you want. I'm going to hit this thing. Seems like a good. All right. Wait. Can you give a big round of applause for the band? Thank you very much. I'm going to cut it there because I think I'm going to run out of time because I talk too much. But anyway, about racism. You guys can go ahead and sit down. Thank you very much. Also, that's a really cool amp. Where did you get that? I stole this. Teacher said it was okay. So as I said before, I talk a lot about racism, specifically about clothes and how clothes affect racism, because I think clothes have a lot to do with classism, right? You look at what somebody's wearing and you decide what you want to about them before they get the chance to tell you, right? So one of the things that I've noticed about going into schools and talking to people is that a lot of times teachers will tell black students what to wear. This is my poem about that. Do not wear hoodies. Do not wear your pants low. Do not wear do-rags, fitted caps, ski caps. Do not wear headgear. Do not wear anything that's red and black, or blue and black, or yellow and gold, or green and black. Do not wear pink and black or purple. Do not wear black. Orange is fine. Suits are fine. Orange suits are fine. Do not wear expensive accessories. Do not wear tattoos or t-shirts with someone else's dead name on your dying skin. No obituaries. Funerals are fine. Church is fine. The field is fine. The stage is fine. The acts in front of the camera, even the hospitals are fine. Jerseys, scrubs, uniforms, suits are always fine. As long as they can count the numbers on your back. Know your number. Know your place. Know the statistics. Live like a fugitive without having ever broken the law. That means no gambling or speeding or liquor or sugar or sex. Do not smoke anything. Do not consume anything marketed to you. Do not go anywhere without receipts, alibis, contacts. While they call you boy, their boys are different. Their boys will be boys while you boys aren't boys at all. You boys get charged as an adult, even when you're hungry. Do not compromise family for food. Feed your family. Defend your family without no needs. Even if you are police. Do not run from police. Do not hide from police. Do not confess. Police do not speak. Police do not run from police. Do not hide. Do not confess. Do not speak. Do not witness. Do not commit. Do not witness. Do not commit. Do not witness. Do not commit. Do not go. Do not witness. Do not witness. Do not go. Do not witness. Do not commit. Unless you're hungry. Do not compromise family for food. Feed your family. Feed your family. Take it. Take someone else's food. If they call police, wear a suit. Suits are fine. Box your shoulders, close your throat. A good soup will turn your spine into a cushioned bowl. Ready for burial. Funerals are fun. Funerals are always fun. As long as you die wearing. Thank you. I think a lot of the things that I like to talk about are called microaggressions. Do you guys know what microaggressions are? All right, can somebody give me a solid definition of a microaggression? That was a super accurate, yeah, no, that was good. All right, good job. I'm not gonna lie, in the back of my head, I was gonna be like, wait till they're done, tell them we're wrong, and then say the exact same thing. But that was perfect. There was no way around it. That was good. So here's the deal. Microaggressions are fun because while they happen immediately and you're like, I don't feel like dealing with this, eventually it kind of builds up, right? Kind of like dairy, right? How many people in here are lactose intolerant? Yeah! Me and you can't eat pizza. All right. So part of the thing about being a non-dairy person is that people are constantly asking you about it, right? So somebody might come up to you and be like, do you want this ice cream? And you'll be like, no, I'm lactose intolerant. And then later when you have the pills, you'll be like, I'm gonna have some ice cream. And they're like, are you sure you want that? Do you know about the last thing that happened the last time you had some? And you're like, all right, please just let me do my life. I'm living my life. And it just builds up and it swells up, right? It wasn't a big deal in the beginning, but now it's just exponentially larger, right? Having said that, I talk a lot about my mother. Hold on. I talk a lot about my mother because I am mixed-ed. I have black and white people in me. The thing about that, somebody was like, don't say that. All right. The thing about it is that while both my parents love me, they don't always understand me. Does that make sense? So a whole bunch of students like, definitely. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. One of the things that my mother doesn't understand is that she loves me very much, but she doesn't understand hair at all, right? She understands her hair, she understands her family's hair, but she doesn't understand my hair. And that's because I'm black and it's different. It's just different. Having said that, whenever we go out, she likes to make fun of me in front of black people to be like, he won't get his hair cut. And the other day, I stopped and I looked at my mother and I was like, you know, you never took me to get my hair cut. Don't you think that would have something to do with me never getting my hair cut? And she was like, nah, that's not how that works. And I was like, no, really, I would like to talk about it. When was the last time you took me to a barber? And she was like, I don't remember. And I was like, oh, you do. You remember where you took me. You took me to a Supercuts in Lincoln Park. For those of you who don't know what a Supercuts is where barbers go to hate themselves. Turns out, anyway, I'll just read the poem. His hands shook at my scalp as I whispered to myself, he's a trained professional. Let him do his job, man. Then he looked at me and he said, hey, listen, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I've never cut hair like this before, so I'm just gonna have to wing it. And my mom said, oh, it's nothing important, it's just for a school play. Do what you can. And I thought to say, Mama, you misunderstood this hair specialist. He said that this isn't the kind of hair he specializes in. But then I thought, nah, that's my mother. Let her do her job. And then this man looked me in my eyes and he whispered, I'm so sorry. Like she was his mother too. All right, that was that poem. Thank you very much. The thing about that is, like, some of y'all, like, that does sound pretty bad. But what you don't know is, like, as a black person, you need to pick your hair out a little bit, right? You need a wide tooth comb. I like how the one person in the middle is like, yeah, you gotta pick it out with the middle, yeah. This dude turned around and came back around with a fine tooth comb for this. I looked that man in the face, I said, no, we're not doing this today. And then we did that today anyway. It was terrible. So anyway, the title of this next poem is My Mom Doesn't Remember Supercuts, but she definitely remembers taking me to that Nigerian place in Uptown. Has anybody in here gotten braids? Okay, cool. Do you remember the first time you got braids? Do you remember how it felt like somebody was punching you in the head with a bag full of knives? That's what this is about. She said she didn't realize pain was involved, and she couldn't stand to see me cry. But she also spent $80 to make me look like Little Bow Wow. Do you guys know who Little Bow Wow is? If you're like, I don't know who he is, he's a joke. So she got some food and a book and came back to see why they were only half done. So she read the book, and they danced around my barber's chair, pulling my tender head with them. On my unwilling scalp, their dance partner, yanking them back when they twirled closer to danger. When this woman sprayed my cornrows with hair oil, my body went limp. A soothing release ripped from me as soon as the salon doors opened and the wind dried up what moisture I had left. I'm sorry, I could just hear you laughing, and I'm so happy. We are having this moment together, and I appreciate you. All right. It felt like my eyes were tied to my ears. It felt like I was smiling when I was sad. It felt like my scalp was torn apart slow by the fractals. It felt like a siren sounds, like a scab, refusing to close. So I picked at it, the way it asked me to. Gentle at first, then vigorously. Then deep and slow, underneath their roots. Now, I wonder what my life would be like if my mom knew to slap my fingers away from my face. If I had to go again. Or even worse, if my mother knew, and even worse, if my mother knew how to do it herself, and this hell lived in my home, waiting in my mother's hands every 2 weeks when my mother thought my hair needed to be tightened up. Thank you. Those are two situations that, like, I feel like I love my mom, she loves me, we're in love. Down that way, that's weird. My point is, my mom is great. However, she doesn't always understand me in a way I think a lot of fathers often find with their daughters, right? They're like, I want to love you. Also, toxic masculinity doesn't allow me to think of anything outside of sports, cars, and my own inevitable death. So, and you're like, I just want to hug you, Dad. And he's like, I don't know how to do that. I drink coffee and I go to work. I poop sometimes. That's all I do. But there's like this give and go, right? This like thing where you're like constantly trying to work things out with your parents. I think not every microaggression is necessarily bad, right? Sometimes it works in your favor. For instance, I had some trouble with high school and they were trying to kick me out, and my mom called CBS and the news station came down and they were like, I heard you're trying to kick out this black boy before he could graduate. And they were like, oh no. And that was one of those moments I was like, privilege isn't the worst always. It can be good. It can be good. But having said that, there's one thing I noticed that's like kind of, it goes underneath our radars entirely that we don't think about at all, and it's technology. Does anybody in here know how technology is also a racist? I like how there's a room full of people like, I don't know, man. I tried really hard. We read the books. I don't know what you want from me. Martin Luther King Jr. stuff. So the thing is, there's like really small things that you're trying to do on a daily basis that should be easy. For instance, if you were to look up child with white face, right? Would you ever have to say that? To Google child with white face. That's a weird statement, isn't it? Child who has face that is white. That sounds terrible. However, when you search child in Google, oftentimes it's a white child, right? And you're like, that's cool, I'll just scroll. I'll just keep scrolling. I'm just gonna keep on scrolling. Scroll, 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 okay. Eventually I'll find it. The point being, a lot of times technology works against you in a way that you didn't necessarily anticipate. So you have to look up things like black boy, which brings up like black boy murdered by police or black boy arrested for blah, 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 right? So then instead I'm like, okay, I know what I'll search. Black boy face, which comes up with blackface, which is terrible. Don't ever look up blackface. It's terrible and weird and creepy, and don't do it. Don't any of y'all do it. My point is, I was trying to look up this band called Death. Has anybody heard of Death, the band? Me and you, buddy, we're besties from now on. He was like, I didn't sign up for that. That's not what I wanted. All right. I'm gonna read this poem, and then, if y'all got questions, you can ask them. Blue, blue, blue. Okay. Normally, I have to start by searching a band called Death, because death brings up all the videos of black people dying. So I search a band called Death, which brings up the documentary, and I've already seen that. Black boys, white labels refused to believe until white boys made it too difficult, explaining to Google, I'm looking for Death, the band. So it gave me a band named Death. They were all white, which isn't what I was looking for. I wanted the black men who created what inspired what Death was inspired by. So I searched black boys who wouldn't stop playing, which brings up white man calls police on black family at pool. So yeah, I gave up, and I searched Death Black Band, which sounds a lot like Black Tim, as opposed to Tim. And just like forfeiting your name to appease someone else, it worked just long enough to hear myself playing alone. Thank you. So the reason why I wrote that poem is also because Death, the band called Death, they were four brothers who decided to pick up instruments and play in their garage, and they played music until everyone in their neighborhood hated them. And then after a while, they loved them, and after a while, they wanted their music to get somewhere, so they all came together and they dropped this album, but their name was Death, and they were all black, and it was the 70s, so everybody was like, no. So long story short, they stopped playing. They all broke up into different bands. They lived their lives separately. And then 30 years later, they found out, oh, you made punk music before punk music. And when you think about what punk music has done for the whole world, there's just this one band, this one group of teenagers that never got any recognition, basically just because of who they were. I like speaking out against stuff like that. And also, look up a band called Death. It's a great documentary and also fantastic music. Anyway, I have to go at some point, so do y'all want to ask me questions that I probably should have answered in this time I was here? You. Why do you call yourself a I really didn't want this to happen. So the program I work for, which is Young Chicago Authors, we go and teach poetry workshops all over the city and all over the world, right? When I started working for them, or really when I was 14 years old, I was a teenager, I went to their programming to get free poetry classes. And somebody there started coming up with nicknames for people. There was Muffin, who, when I was the best man at his wedding, I was like, yeah, me and Muffin, and everybody was like, who is that? Who's Muffin? That person in a tuxedo next to the bride that's supposed to get married, his name is Muffin now. You're welcome. Also, there was a dude named Snuggles, who I saw Snuggles in the street. He was like, toaster? And I was like, Snuggles! Right? And then we hugged each other, and our friends were like, he's the weirdest person, and nothing about him makes sense. But anyway, they were coming up with names for people, and they couldn't come up with one for me. So finally, they were just like, forget it, I guess you'll just not have a nickname. And they started talking about this band called The Toasters, and I was like, that's the dumbest name I ever heard in my life. Whoever gets named Toaster should like live a terrible life forever and have to deal with people calling him Toaster forever. And they were like, we're gonna call you Toaster. It actually worked out pretty good. I like it. It works well in schools. It's my name and stuff. My parents forgot what they named me. Anybody else? Questions? Questions? Yeah, you with the ghost hand in the back. You scary. No, it's down here. You look behind you, but I was talking to you directly. So here's the thing about that. You think it's the whitest town in all of existence, and then you go to any other part of the United States of America. This is a very, very white country, right? However, I do feel really comfortable with schools that bring me out, because I feel like a lot of the schools that bring me out are like, hey, this black dude's gonna talk about black stuff for a real, real long time in front of our entire student body. Which is hard, and that takes risk. And I think like talking about race and stuff like that is important for you guys to learn. Also, I don't know, I don't think it worries me to be in an all-white place, but I also don't think it's necessarily right to be like, that's a white place, this a black place. They're different. Because a lot of times they are very similar. But I do like going to places that are predominantly white and then like having conversations with people about race. Because a lot of times either people recognize more than they thought they did, or people are actually a lot better than they think they are. Yes, you with the appendage? Yeah. My favorite kind of music, honestly, I always go back between like indie rock, jazz, and hip hop. Those are like the three things I love the most, mainly because jazz and indie rock have the best samples. So I would say probably hip hop, even though I get tired of it sometimes. You with the socks hat, damn it. What? Who? It's just that you're not talking very loud and I don't know what you're saying. I don't know that person. Alpha Miss? Oh, cool. Alpha Mist. I'm going to look that up. Thank you very much. Yes. I don't think I did. So I had dreadlocks for 10 years. But yeah, there was a long time where my parents were like, why don't you get a haircut? And I was like, because it's torture and y'all know what you're doing. He's bald. You don't know what my hair is like. I don't know why I'm talking to either of you. But actually, I do have this barber. He did Jimmy Butler's hair. And then he was like, you want me to do your hair? I was like, yes. So he lined me up real nice. But it's hard because my head is also lopsided. And you can't tell because I have an afro, but if I was to shave it all off, you'd be like, your face is weird. All the way in the back with your hand raised. Yes, you. Not you. I just had to do that. It was you. I was joking. It was you, for sure. Go ahead. What'd you say? What I did, oh man, okay, cool, buddy. Small fire, right? No, I'm joking. So the thing was that I had all my credits from the school that I'd went to previously. So when I went to this new school, I was like, I don't have to do anything. And that was the wrong decision. And they didn't have the internet back then, so it was really easy to not go to school. And then there was a point where I was like, okay, well, I do have to buckle down and I have to like figure this all out. And I started to, and I went into my counselor's office and I was like, do you have all my paperwork? And she was like, no, why? I was like, but I need for to graduate if I could. And she was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And it turns out that she had just set me up for the wrong classes for a long time. So they had actually tried to just kick me out. They were like, oh, well, you'd have to do another year, and that would look bad on us. So I went in, talked to a couple of CPS teachers, and they were like, that's not true, that's not legal, they can't do that. And then my mom called while I was in the office. So imagine sitting in the office and the principal walking in and be like, hey, and then going into their office and coming back out like, poof, who is Timothy Wendell Henderson? You gotta get to school! I was like, yeah, that's right, I'm getting my education, what's up? All right, that was a dance, but you couldn't see it at the foot. All right, I think I have time for one more question. Okay, that big wavy deal, obviously I have to choose you.
I think you're really cool.
No, you're cool! I do have an Instagram. It is important that I say that I do not follow students, mainly because y'all like weird stuff. Y'all like weird stuff. And you post it, and then I gotta see it, and that's weird for me. But if you wanna find me, you can find me at Toaster's Modern Life. You can also find a lot of my poetry videos online at YouTube, Button Poetry. Just search Toaster Poetry.